I DM'd 101 UFC fighters to see if they would reply, and to my surprise, a few actually did. Now to start with, I DM'd 101 UFC fighters ranging in popularity. I went from small debutants, people who have just joined the organization, and to people that have been in the organization for years and have millions of followers. So let's get straight into it. Now the DM I sent to all these fighters was more or less the same, asking them what their favorite moment in their entire MMA career is. Now I did DM 101 UFC fighters and only a handful responded, so in this video I'm only going to show you the people who responded. In the description below, if I can speak, will be a list of every single fighter that I DM'd. The green tick next to their name is for my reference. It just means I did shoot them a DM and I didn't want to forget anyone. If I replied next to it, when you will see in this video the people who replied, means they replied. If there's nothing next to their name bar a green tick, it means they didn't reply. So let's get straight into the first person that responded. But before I do, make sure you click subscribe, like, comment, all that fun stuff. Now the first person to respond to me was UFC fighter Quinlan Sally Kidd. He is coming up, he is a fantastic fighter, he is going to be a fan favourite. If he keeps on the trajectory he is going, and his reply was as follows. Definitely got to be knocking out Jubbly in my UFC debut in front of my home crowd. What a knockout it was. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. He is a fantastic fighter. I think he's 2-0 in the UFC now, maybe... No, I think he's 2-0 in the UFC now. Go watch it. It was a fantastic knockout. Great response. Now, the next person to reply to me, I was pretty confident was going to reply because I've spoken to him before, and he's a follower of mine on TikTok. Humble brag. Former UFC fighter and current karate combat champion, Sam Alvey. And Sam Alvey's response to me was as follows. My best moment is my first win in the UFC against Dylan Andrews. It was the start of my adult life. What a nice response. Now the next person kind of did reply, kind of didn't, in the way that he did reply, but it was a bit of a non-reply and he never followed up, unfortunately. Another follower of mine on Instagram, UFC heavyweight Jonathan Diniz. I think I'm saying that right, I'm not sure. His response was as follows. Do you want that I make a video? Now obviously English isn't his first language. I responded with, up to you. A video works or a message, it's entirely up to you. And unfortunately he never responded to that. If he ever does follow up, I will let you know on my Instagram. Jordan Does UFC, make sure you check it out, it's in the description. Next up to reply was UFC fighter Marco Tullio. And again, it was a bit of a non-reply where he said, no bro, how are you? Video or send? Not being his first language, it makes sense. But at least I got a reply and that surprised me. I responded with, very well, thank you. Whatever works for you, thank you. And he never responded. Next UFC fighter to respond to me was Canadian fighter Charles Jourdain. He responded to me with the following. Viral one was the Sparta kick. Now, if you haven't seen it, I'll put a picture on screen. He basically Sparta kicked his opponent towards the end of the fight, I think it was. He didn't get a knockout with it, but it went massively viral. It was a good moment. Martin Bidet was the next fighter to get back to me, and his response was as follows. Hello, my best moment probably was the moment when I won my Contender Series fight by finish and got a contract with the UFC that night. That was something I will never forget. Thank you. My response being amazing stuff, thank you very much, and he put, you're welcome. Next up on the list of people to reply to me was UFC heavyweight fighting out of England. Unfortunately not Tom Aspinall, but it was his teammate Mick Parkin, where he responded with, got to be getting the bonus at Manchester with the KO. He fought at UFC Manchester. It was a pay-per-view, I think. I can't remember. It was so long ago, my memory is terrible. And I responded with, what a great performance it was. Thank you, means a lot. The next UFC fighter to get back to me was the first and only female UFC fighter to get back to me, Shannon Bannon. And her response was this. My last win for sure, armbar after getting dropped and 50k bonus. I said thank you, I was in the crowd, I couldn't believe it, fantastic. She is referring to her fight in March of 2025 at UFC London, where she was knocked down in the fight and then she got back up. I thought she was done and got the armbar submission. It was a fantastic performance and what a way to bounce back it was. The next person is 3-1 in the UFC welterweight division, Sam Patterson. His response was, best moment from my career so far would be my first win inside the octagon versus Johan Lianes, I think that's how you say it, or receiving my contract from the boss man himself on Dana White's Contender Series. That was a nice reply, I liked that one. One of the most surprising people to reply to me was top 15 ranked UFC flyweight Tim Elliott. And he is a veteran of the sport, has been in this for so long, can have so many moments to pick from in his career, and he said this: winning TUF 24 and getting the chance to fight Mighty Mouse over 5 rounds. The next person was Bogdan Grad, who very kindly sent me a voice message. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to insert that clip in now.
Hey brother, the best moment in my career was when I won the UFC contract at Dana White Contender Series, but the best lesson for my career was the loss from the Contender Series, where I got knocked out by Tom Nolan. And of course, nowadays, February 1st, my UFC debut, where I won and got the performance bonus, is the highlight until to date. And Saturday I'm gonna be on the main card, and that's also the highlight. You're welcome, brother.
What a nice thing to do. He didn't have to do that, and my response to him was, thank you so much, best of luck for this weekend. He was fighting like a few days after I sent him the message. Even though you don't need it, you got this in the bag. Keep it appreciated, bro. Unfortunately, he did actually lose, so maybe I put some bad luck on him, who knows. I know I'm going to say his name wrong, but the next person to reply was Jose Delago. I think that's, or Delago, something like that. I'm really not good with pronunciations, as you can tell. And he also sent me a voice note. How kind of him. I will insert that now.
Jordan, I'd say winning the Contender Series off of 11 days notice was, for me, the best moment, man. It was the best moment because I assumed I'd be later on in the series. I was told I'd be later on, so I wasn't as prepared for it as I usually am, or even would be if I wasn't, you know? So going in there and proving to myself that I get it done against a tough opponent in Ernie Juarez, and to get that type of knockout in front of Dana White, in front of my family, and having everybody back home watching, rooting me on, that was just an incredible feeling. So best moment of my career, Contender Series so far.
What a fantastic moment for him and his career, and I just replied to him saying amazing, thank you very much. The next UFC fighter to reply to me is 0-2 in the UFC light heavyweight division, and he is Tuco Tacos. But he responded with, probably making my UFC debut or winning the Fury belt. If you don't know what Fury is, it is another MMA organization that he fought in before joining the UFC. The next person was Nicholas Motta, where he said, when I got signed by the UFC, I responded, must have been a good feeling with a question mark, and unfortunately, my DM was probably far down the list by that point, so I never got a reply to that. The next person to reply was incredibly kind to me by sending me such a massive message. Unfortunately, it was in Portuguese, so I had to translate it. I don't think it's the best translation, but I'm going to try my best. The best moment of my UFC career was not a victory in the octagon or signing a contract. It was back where it all began, in the rural area of Biribai? I'm really sorry. In the interior of Sierra? We're going with that. A simple place with dirt roads, where the sun beats down and life teaches you the hard way. It was there that dreamer was born. It was there that warrior was born. It was there Gabriel Santos, known today in the fighting world as Mosquito. Mosquinto? I think Mosquito, I'm not sure, was born. Reality was harsh, but I never lacked faith. I grew up with my feet on the ground and my heart full of hope. While many saw impossibilities, I saw purpose. I had no structure, no media, no support, but I had God, the will to win, and certainly that my life story would not end there. The second message translates again on Google Translate to the following. I started training with whatever I could, wherever I could. The mat was the floor of my house. The first blows were against difficulties of life. I don't think Google Translate is very good when it comes to translating large chunks of text. Every sweat I shed, every fall, every no I received was fuel to keep going. I knew that I wasn't fighting just for myself. I carried on my back the name of my city, my family, and those who never had the opportunity to show their worth. Over time, opportunities came, doors began to open, fighting became a profession, and faith became even stronger. I left Burby, but Burby never left me. I'm really sorry. Today, I look back and see how far I've come. From a dreamer boy in the countryside of Ceará to the fighter recognised on the biggest stage in the world. And the third and final message translates to this. But I haven't gotten to where I want to be yet. This journey is only just beginning, because those who were born to win never settle. With every fight, every training session, every victory, I remember where I'm from. And I keep fighting with the same humility, with the same heart. Because the true champion is not just the one who raises his arm at the end of the fight, it's the one who never stopped believing, even when no one else did. I'm Gabriel Santos, and this is just the first part of my story. Thank you, Gabriel, for your incredibly in-depth response. Best one by far. Thank you so much. And the final UFC fighter to respond to me is former UFC fighter Oliver Albin Mercier. I definitely said that wrong. He is also a follower of mine over on Instagram, so I was confident I was going to get a reply. And not only did I get one reply, I actually had a little conversation with him. And that conversation goes as follows. Can you tell us the best moment in your career? Same message I've been sending to everyone. And he put, when I retired with 2 mil. That must have been a good feeling. My response to that was, can't argue with that, fair play to you, thank you. And then he responded again. Thinking behind it is that as a MMA fighter, you don't know what will happen during your career. MMA is dangerous and it doesn't pay a lot. You give a lot for a passion. So when I knew I would be able to retire with money in my pocket and not a lot of damage, I was really happy. I replied with, that makes so much sense and you had a great career. What's life like after fighting? How do you keep yourself busy? He put, with 2 newborns, laugh out loud. I don't have time for anything else right now. I put, that's amazing, congratulations. What a nice guy. He did not have to give me that amount of time. That was amazing. That was really, really kind of him. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the UFC fighters and former UFC fighters that did respond for me and for the sake of this video. I don't blame anyone for not responding. I wasn't expecting any of them to reply. So the amount of people that did reply was a massive shock to me. I didn't think any of them would see this, if I'm being perfectly honest. I spent like 2 hours DMing all these people and I was like, there's no way anyone's going to reply, because the second I send a DM, the chance that they get 100 more, and I just that's what I thought, that my DMs would be shot so far down. So thank you to all the people that did respond. It means so much. Another UFC fighter also responded, but I forgot to include him in this video. So before my outro rolls, I'll quickly tell you, Cody Durden did reply to me, also a follower of mine over on Instagram. He said, when I took the Matt Schnell fight on 4 days notice and had the opportunity to share my corner with my wife for the first time. Also, winning that 50k bonus was awesome. Lol. Very, very nice response. Cody, I almost forgot about you. I do apologize. So that is all the UFC fighters that replied to me in my 101 DM UFC Fighters series, I guess. If you want to see me do this again with another set of 101 fighters, let me know who you want me to DM. The smaller fighters, I say the smaller fighters, the newer fighters in the organization, less followers, not like the Conor McGregors of the world, they're not going to reply. Yeah, there's obvious reasons. So if there's anyone you want me to try for the next video, if I do this again, let me know. That'd be greatly appreciated. I have been Jordan Does UFC. Make sure you check me out on TikTok and Instagram. It is so hot in my office. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in a wee bit.